Okay, so check this out, right? So, makes sense for why Gary's kind of like, not a big fan of dragons. That's my take on the whole thing, right? His father was a dragon, and, I think Gary exceeded him. That's a big thing, what I said in the beginning, being a good father and stuff. So the story is this, right? So in the folklore, the dragon resides in heaven. It creates all these things. It's known to be respected. And one day, it took a stroll, looking around mountains and whatever else, and just doing what the fuck ever. And the dragon couldn't help but notice there was a dozen of baby snakes. They're just doing whatever else, doing what snakes do and shit. So the dragon sees this small little snake, and it felt really bad for it. Had little, puppy eyes or some shit, kitty eyes, excuse me. And so the dragon's like, oh, what the fuck? All right, cool. Picks up the little snake, brings it back to heaven. And in heaven, the dragon is teaching the snake, like, secrets about immortality. It's teaching secrets about life and power and just knowledge of all sorts, occult knowledge to us. And over time, the snake just started to actually, like, move like a dragon, too. And people in heaven were like, wow, that snake is amazing. It's going to be, like, the greatest, thing here. People were saying all the great things. Like, the snake is evolving really quick. And the dragon's, like, really happy about it because the dragon's very prideful. And he's like, fuck yeah. But at the same time, the concern is that the snake actually might be his equal or even surpass him. So the dragon's like, fuck, how do I fix this, He's like, shit. So the dragon's like frustrated, happy at the same time. It doesn't know what to do. So later that night, the dragon goes to bed, and then the snake coils up on the dragon's horn. And this is really sad because I had a cat, so I see it as like a father and child relationship. So, as the snake is sleeping, the dragon fucking goes roar and fucking throws the snake back down to earth. And then the snake hits the earth, and it's all confused. It's missing the dragon. And all in short, the snake lived the rest of his life trying to be like the dragon who raised him. So that's some really fucking sad shit. And 5 being for change and dragon being the 5th sign of all the other stories, like with the horse, the bull and stuff. Like, the dragon just seems like an asshole from all across the ways, but it seems like it's a necessary element to have for these animals to be the way that they are, So, and even when it came to, I was reading some page, because I looked into it, and I only cared about a few, but snake children gatekeep, snake children are betrayed at an early age from whatever kind of, degree, which is why they gatekeep, because they've learned to not tell people a lot of things. And even in the folklore, the snake was betrayed. And, so, yeah. It's really sad. But all in short, or not, I say all in short a lot, but also when it comes to relationships, it's a 50-50 rivalry. So, like, snake and dragon, they can really like each other because they're adjacent. They're both reptiles and, have the same intentions, but just different ways of moving around with things. They can be the worst of enemies or best of friends, and their intentions are secret. Like, it'll look like they hate each other, but they might actually just love each other. So it's really interesting when it comes to that. But, yeah. So that's a really sad story. That's all I had to say for how the whole thing happens. Maybe I'll tell you about the horse. So the horse and dragon, the horse was in heaven, right? It was like a Pegasus or a fucking unicorn, and it was really fast still, even in heaven. It flew really fast. It did whatever else, and the dragon didn't really have any wings, but it still had its pride because people see the dragon as like this renowned, majestic, and powerful being. And the dragon was like, these wings are actually pretty cool. I'm going to ask the horse if I can borrow the wings. So even from experience, I've seen that horses are very caring and, they provide a lot, like even my mother's a horse. That's my, I'm a project. My mother was very caring, but can be overbearing at times. So anyways, the horse, of course, with what I just said, lent the wings to the dragon. And, they go down to earth. The dragon's flying around, enjoying the wings and all that kind of stuff and doing what else. And so the horse is like, okay, dude, we got to go back up to heaven. Can I have my wings back? And the dragon's like, nah, I'm going to keep them. These things are pretty fucking cool. This and that. I deserve them. I'm a fucking dragon. Look at me. Woo! And the horse is like, what? And the horse never forgave the dragon for doing that shit. Not at all. And so the dragon went up to heaven and left the earth and left the horse down on earth. And there was this saying where whenever a horse gets like startled, I guess it's Scottish or some shit, they say, "Oh, he must have seen a dragon," right? Which is really interesting. But yeah, so going back into like the change, the dragon made the snake the way that it is. The dragon made the horse what it is, right? And then the ox one is pretty interesting. So as in for the ox, which I think is kind of badass, which is not a good thing because Robert Ratcliffe is an ox and I read a lot about it, but with my understanding, I know how to maneuver to an extent. Okay, so for the ox story, right? Everybody respected, the dragon except for, maybe just not even the dog, clearly. But so it came down to earth and everybody bowed to the dragon because it's almighty and powerful. And, he was like, fuck yeah, look at me. And there was only one animal that didn't bow down. It didn't even look up or even stop what it was doing. It was the ox. And then the dragon flies down and just lands right in front of the ox. And he said, "Do you know who I am?" And the ox is like, "Yeah, dude, I know who you are." Why? He's like, "Bow down to me." And then the ox is like, no, like, why the fuck would I do that? Like, I do all the labor. If I didn't do any labor, there's no purpose for you creating all this rain. So technically you need me to even, have any relevance. And the dragon's like, fuck, he's right. But he didn't like the fact that the ox wasn't paying any respect. So there's like the silent power that the ox has with this steady pace of working and building. And, the ox is more dangerous for the dragon than the dragon is for the ox because the ox is very stubborn and resilient. It just goes its own way. It just goes into the whole, numerology reading with people with that energy. They're very stubborn. They, when it comes to a decision, they stick to it. You tell ox to go left, it's going to go right. So it definitely has that individual mindset, which is pretty interesting. But I have a lot of respect for ox and horses, though, in a weird way. So Gary definitely had me level up.